A lot of you know my part of my story, my health challenges, bad relationships, things that could have knocked somebody down completely hardcore. I was never the smartest kid on the block. I worked my tail off to fight through school, and then I met Chris. My health challenges happened. I was diagnosed with some health challenges, and then I met Chris. I met Chris because of those health challenges. My friend sent me a friend suggestion for him. It was actually his cousin's wife, and I deleted it. I was like, I am not interested. I don't want to meet a guy. Bye-bye. So I deleted her friend suggestion for him. In the part where I gave up on everything, I quit my job. It was kind of temporarily, but kind of quit my job of 9 years. I just said, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. You don't understand me. You don't understand what's going on in my life. And I quit. And I got a friend request from Chris. I was in a really, really, really bad place. And I got a friend request from Chris on Facebook. And I was like, oh, what the heck? I'm never going to meet him. Except, one thing led to another. And 8 years later, we have 2 kids. We live in Colorado. And he's the best thing that has ever happened.
Love you.
And stand by you.
And stand by you.
As long as we both shall live.
As long as we both shall live.
The couple looked happy as they exchanged vows and danced their first dance. Shanann's family gave toasts expressing their joy.
I just want to say I love you both. You look great together, and she's been looking her whole life for a good guy. I couldn't ask for a better one. I love you guys.
The chilling video was provided by Shanann's family for a new Netflix documentary, American Murder: The Family Next Door. Never before seen home videos also show Watts hugging and kissing his daughters at the airport and enjoying a trip to the beach with the family. The documentary uncovered personal text messages between Watts and Shanann that shed light on the deterioration of their marriage in the months leading up to Watts killing pregnant Shanann and their 2 daughters, Bella and Cece, in 2018. I realize this trip's what's missing in our relationship. It's only one-way emotions and feelings, Shanann wrote. The last message she sent was on the night before she was strangled at their home in Colorado. Finally on plane and about to take off, she texted Watts, "Thank God. Prayers for safe flight. Love you." New video also reveals Watts with his mistress, Nicole Kessinger.
Thank you so much for coming out here with me, Christopher. I'm having a wonderful time. You mean a lot to me.
Steve Helling is a senior writer with People magazine.
So Chris Watts is in jail, and he's going to be in prison for the rest of his life. He is in his cell 23 hours a day, and he spends all day reading his Bible. He really does feel guilty about what he did. He feels remorse. He wishes he'd done things differently, and that it haunts.
Millions watched the Facebook videos, the smiling introductions, the product pitches, the cheerful updates filmed in kitchens, living rooms, and parking lots. To the outside world, Shanann Watts looked confident, driven, and endlessly positive. Her voice carried energy. Her posture projected control. And for years, viewers believed they were seeing the full story. But social media is a stage, and the camera only records what it's pointed at. Behind the lens, Shanann was performing a role she believed in deeply. The image of a woman building a future, holding her family together, and refusing to let cracks show. Friends later said those videos weren't fake, but they weren't complete either. Every clip was a moment carefully chosen, filmed during strength, not during fear. And that distinction would become painfully important after everything fell apart. At the time, no one questioned the smiles. Engagement meant success. Comments meant support. Likes meant validation. Shanann's Facebook presence grew. And so did the illusion that everything inside the Watts home was stable, even thriving. Viewers thought they knew her because they saw her almost every day. But knowing someone online is not the same as knowing what happens when the camera shuts off. What no one noticed back then was how often Shanann used Facebook not just to sell products but to reassure herself. The videos weren't only for an audience, they were affirmations. Proof that she was still standing, still pushing forward, still believing things could be fixed if she worked hard enough. In hindsight, investigators and analysts would re-watch those same clips frame by frame, not for what was said, but for what was missing. The pauses, the forced brightness, the way stress hid behind productivity. The warning signs weren't loud, they were subtle, and they blended perfectly into the noise of social media culture. This chapter isn't about blaming Shanann, it's about understanding how visibility can hide vulnerability, and how an entire audience can watch someone closely and still miss the truth. If this story already has you thinking differently, like the video, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. What comes next changes everything. As Shanann's Facebook videos continued, a pattern emerged, one that few recognized at the time. Nearly every post revolved around structure. Schedules, goals, routines, and plans. Morning motivation, nighttime reflections, lists of what needed to be done next. To viewers, it looked like ambition. To those who knew her well, it was something deeper. Control as survival. Shanann lived in a constant state of forward motion. If she stopped, even briefly, the silence became dangerous. Financial pressure was mounting. Her marriage was straining. Her pregnancy brought both hope and fear. Yet none of that made it into the videos directly. Instead, she doubled down on positivity, productivity, and public confidence. The more unstable things felt behind closed doors, the more polished her online presence became. What most people didn't understand is that Shanann believed deeply in fixing problems through effort. If something was breaking, she worked harder. If someone pulled away, she leaned in. If fear crept in, she talked louder, smiled brighter, and posted more often. Facebook wasn't denial, it was determination. But control only works when everyone is playing by the same rules. Chris Watts appeared in many of those videos, quiet, agreeable, almost background-like. Viewers interpreted his silence as shyness or support. Shanann often spoke for both of them, filling the space with optimism. What no one saw was that while Shanann was fighting to hold the family together, Chris had already emotionally checked out. The imbalance was invisible online. Shanann believed communication solved everything. Chris avoided conflict by retreating inward. That disconnect created a dangerous dynamic. One partner pushing for clarity, the other hiding behind passivity. And passivity, when mixed with resentment, can become something far darker. In hindsight, Shanann's videos weren't signs of arrogance or control. They were evidence of someone trying desperately to keep the ground from collapsing beneath her feet. She didn't know how close she was to the edge, and she didn't know the man sitting beside her on camera was no longer the person she thought he was. The illusion held until it didn't. By the summer of 2018, the cracks in the Watts marriage had grown wider, but they remained invisible to most viewers. Shanann's Facebook videos still showed energy, laughter, and confidence, yet something subtle had changed. Her tone carried urgency. Her smiles didn't linger as long. And between the cheerful updates, there were moments of vulnerability that slipped through unnoticed. Shanann began speaking more openly about stress, exhaustion, and feeling overwhelmed. She framed it as honesty, but it was also a signal. She was reaching out, searching for reassurance from friends, from family, and most importantly, from her husband. Facebook became a place where she could speak when conversations at home felt one-sided or empty. Chris, meanwhile, was growing quieter. In the videos, his presence felt distant. He nodded, he agreed, he smiled when prompted, but there was no warmth behind it. What viewers interpreted as calm was actually emotional withdrawal. Chris had learned that silence kept him out of arguments. He believed that if he didn't engage, problems would simply pass. Instead, they piled up. Behind the scenes, Shanann sensed the shift. She asked questions. She pushed for conversations. She tried to fix what she could feel slipping away, but the more she pressed, the more Chris retreated. His emotional absence became a wall she couldn't break through, no matter how hard she tried. This is the part no one saw. Shanann wasn't controlling. She was responding to abandonment. When one partner disappears emotionally, the other often becomes louder, more expressive, more desperate to reconnect. That desperation played out publicly, but the cause remained hidden. Chris's silence wasn't harmless. It allowed resentment to grow unchecked. While Shanann fought to save her family, Chris was already living a separate life in his mind, one where responsibilities felt like chains and escape felt justified. The Facebook videos captured the smiles. They recorded the optimism. But they couldn't record what wasn't there: honest communication, emotional reciprocity, and mutual commitment. And when silence replaces truth, tragedy doesn't announce itself. It waits. If you're starting to see these videos in a new light, like this video, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. In the next chapter, we uncover the warning signs that were hiding in plain sight. As Shanann's Facebook videos continued, patterns began to emerge. Patterns that only seem obvious in hindsight. To viewers at the time, these moments looked ordinary, even relatable. But layered together, they formed a quiet trail of warning signs that went unnoticed. One of the clearest signals was inconsistency. Shanann spoke often about rebuilding her marriage, about working through things, about hope. Yet Chris's behavior never aligned with those words. He avoided eye contact. His responses were short, rehearsed, and emotionally flat. When Shanann praised him or expressed affection on camera, his reactions felt delayed, almost forced. This wasn't shyness, it was detachment. Another overlooked sign was isolation. Shanann leaned heavily on her online community. She shared details most people would keep private: arguments, fears, and uncertainty. This wasn't oversharing for attention. It was a woman compensating for a lack of emotional safety at home. When someone turns outward for support, it's often because inward support no longer exists. Then there was the pressure of appearances. Shanann believed in positivity, in pushing forward, in showing strength even when struggling. Her videos reflected that belief. She wanted the world to see progress, healing, and unity, but maintaining that image required effort that masked the reality growing behind closed doors. Chris benefited from that mask. The public narrative protected him. Friends and viewers saw a quiet, patient husband. No one questioned his silence because Shanann filled the space with words. And in that imbalance, responsibility blurred. When one person speaks for the relationship, the other can hide within it. What makes these warning signs so chilling is how normal they seemed. No shouting, no visible conflict, just distance, avoidance, and emotional absence. These are the kinds of signs people miss because they don't look dangerous. But danger doesn't always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it hides in routine. Sometimes it smiles for the camera. Shanann sensed something was wrong, even if she couldn't name it. She kept trying. Through love, through communication, through hope. What she didn't know was that Chris had already checked out emotionally long before anyone realized. In the final weeks before everything ended, Shanann's Facebook videos took on a different energy, one that many only recognized after it was too late. She was still smiling, still speaking with determination, but beneath the surface, there was urgency. Her words moved faster, her expressions shifted quickly, and her confidence seemed to be fighting something unseen. Shanann talked openly about uncertainty, about feeling disconnected, about needing reassurance. She framed it as transparency, telling her audience that relationships go through phases and that effort matters. What viewers didn't realize was that these weren't general reflections, they were responses to real-time fear. Fear that her marriage was slipping beyond her control.
Here we go, Steelers. Here we go. Ooh, ooh. Here we go, Steelers. Here we go. Ooh, ooh. Huh? I see picture. Say cheese. Aw, say here we go, Steelers. Here we go. Ooh, ooh. Alright, she's done.
Honey.
He's a good guy. Yeah, he is. What's that tonight? Are you comfortable?